This'll do. Completely unscripted. Cameras down. Natural light. Just life, innit? It is. Okay, so did a lot of walking today, and I did a lot of walking yesterday. So make sure you check out my Searching for Chambers video, because that'll make sense to that. Now, welcome to Lonely Tree Entertainment, and I'm just going to sit right now and talk about something recent, and I'm not going to edit it clips in. I'm not going to, I'm going to stall a couple of times because, again, I'm not reading off a script. I'm like literally going, right, because this is how it is. So this essentially should be an audio commentary over the upcoming, the just finished Abraham and the Bible Part 2. Now, the Mason Bible is something that was never pushed onto me as a kid. I'd never seen it until my granddad passed away about 8 years ago now, and I was sorting through some of his stuff, and he comes to this massive book, Bible stories filled with random artifacts from the last 100 years, and pinpointing the book itself, it's over 100 years old. It's going into the 1860s or 70s or something like that. It's old. And the manufacturing of that, something that old, and some of that, passed down. And again, like the religious side, I've never had like God and Jesus and all the testaments and all that pushed onto me. So it's something that, was obviously massive in the Florence era of the Masons. And, it was there. And, like Lonely Tree Entertainment was a new start for me in life, and HD and new hard drives and easy storage and easy access, and I just came off the back end of the reality show, This Is Just Life, and I had a lot of fun with that show, even though it's a shame that you can't watch that show now. But to have all them people, I mean, there's a lot of work went into that show, and I loved interviewing the people, and I loved cutting up the interviews, and it's still there. It's still got it. Maybe sometime down the future there might be a best of. But, coming off the tail end of that and, being free away from everything and being able to just talk and be myself and have a lot more confidence in front of the camera. Like I'm just randomly talking now. But, like I've always been kind of in front of the camera or filming. But I've never like point blank looked at the camera and started deadpan the camera and talking about stuff. I was just being filmed, or I just being stupid, or the music video side of it, And I've got a massive passion for films, as you know, and it just seemed natural for me to start waffling away about films, show me passion about VHS products, movies, and finding me like market. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just happy doing what I do, and I'm not trying to make a Hollywood movie anymore. I'm not trying to get a film released. It's just a different genre now, and I'm just happy just, testing myself. And if I don't want to test myself, I don't fucking bother. It's the way it is, right? But again, I was dibble-dabbling in people's reactions kind of thing, and I did a video called The Rocky Horror Picture, which was a really bad name because it's got nothing to do with the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Richard O'Brien. It's got something to do with Rocky 3 and Mr. T and Sylvester Stallone. It's a 3-piece canvas print which has never found a home in here. It's actually in the editing room there. And again, at the time, I was going through a rough time. My granddad passed away. My marriage had ended. I was so high a lot of the time, just off general herb, nothing else. And I started seeing faces in this picture. I was like, what the hell's going on there? And like getting people around and getting people involved and like finding people's kind of humour, that was what was fascinating for me. And the Rocky Horror ended up having 4 parts. I've just said 4 parts in my hand and my hands off camera. 4 parts. And like them parts were like kind of batshit crazy at first, but again, overlaying, talking about, seeing it, and like getting people's reactions, like, dude, you're fucking tripping. Oh yeah, I see that face, and the fucking whole emo girl thing about being a Mr. T's belt. Watch it, check it out. The second one got there, and then the third one was the Bible, and again, it was completely misclassed. The Bible, it was the Rocky Horror Picture Show Part 3, the Bible, and Part 4 was All of the People. So loads of people were involved in that video. It was batshit crazy. It crossed over to loads of videos. Again, if you look at the original Bible video, when Barney and Ned are filming their parts, we're filming the Highlander video at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff that crosses over. And it, again, like, here's this Bible. And you know, it was just there. It got more fucking crazy as it went on. And obviously, I didn't really. I looked at the Bible, I did my part, and then, you know, the discovery of everyone else is like genuine, like finding stuff like dead men on the way home, and like the stuff hidden in the books, and then just people's general like chemistry reactions. And I liked that. And again, it's something I missed from doing the show, where you're kind of looking for who can lead it, who carries it, and who has the punchlines, and who can close it when you're talking about something specific, and then you're trying to counterbalance between the footage. But when you're looking at something naturally like the Bible, and you're talking about like people looking at a snowstorm and like their reactions, their memories, and then again, who has the punchline, like Craig going, "Is that when you found Bigfoot?" And or Gally going, "That's some snow, that," like, and then Barney going, "Ah," you know, like general things as well. And it was an interesting edit as well, because I'm floating about all the time, and you know, it's not something like professionally done. I mean, it was filmed really nice. It's definitely aged really well, the original footage. But like, you know what I mean, as me being me floating in between the shots as well, it's like, how do you carry that and edit it? So the original Bible video, I think, would have been quite rugged and raw. But it was there. Again, it's something. It was there. It's, you know, it's bare bones. I did rewatch that, and like that was done. And like the Bible, it was just done. It was there on the shelf. And since filming that, you know, like people like Sam had came over, looked at that, went into the archive. Jack had watched it, looked at it. Sorry, went into the archive. There's a few other things filmed for it, went into the archive, and like on a tick list. Do some of that someday. And I kind of like, you know, having so much of your life filmed, it's become a problem the last couple of years, because I generally, you know, get a bit anxious, because when I look back at stuff, I remember more than I should, and I remember it from different points of view, and it's not really good mentally sometimes. And again, sometimes you can have a blast, you're like, fucking hell, I totally forgot about this, and you know, it's like suppressing memories and stuff like that, and here you come back in glorious HD, and it's like, right, we'll deal with that. And you know, it's kind of, you know, moving forward, it's been good moving forward, redoing some music videos, directing new music videos. Welcome to the Land of the Long White Cloud, you know what I mean? That is one of my favourite things I've ever done, because it was made in lockdown, you know, on my own, you know, and I feel very fortunate to like be come back to Britain, to be locked in at like a fucking small flat, and like being able to bring out a show like that. And yes, it went under the radar, it's on the channel, but again, it was kind of like, again, Holy Bible, everybody mentioned in that, there's bits filmed for the Holy Bible while we were filming that, and thinking one day I'll come back to the Bible. Now, obviously, what I've just been talking about, my mental health and stuff like that, Abraham is an attachment to me. And if you're watching this now, it's been released after the Bible, so you know essentially in the storylines of Lonely Tree, Abraham has essentially been killed off. Making videos and being creative is something I want to do as a storyteller as well. I never normally want to blur the lines. Normally with me, you see what you get. But I can't help, when I flip that switch to Abraham, how creative I get with stupidity and just winging it and just taking it in for the moment and preaching what I preach. It's better than fuck all, do you know what I mean? And, you know, like, people start to like differ between Abraham and Stephen, and again, I talk about this a lot. And my personality is quite shattered and quite broken, and it doesn't help when I start watching back old footage as well, because again, a lot of people call us monkey, and then old footage will be monkey and that. So again, it gets a little bit messy. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity with Abraham just to let loose on stuff, and people are like, who the fuck is Abraham? And obviously Abraham comes from the Bible. He was a stillborn in the 1920, you know, he just lived for 2 days and unfortunately died. And again, I've just thought it's embraced by the Bible, inspired by the Bible kind of thing, and just being creative. So with the Abraham series, how they were just daft, and you know, really pushing the boundaries of what I wanted to do. And again, when I was doing these videos, was exercising what I wanted to do, working on lighting, working on sound, working on stupidity. Can I be in two places at once? Yes, I can. You know, you just got to sit there and think about it. And to me personally, I wasn't caring who watched. I was caring for me, and I was having fun, and that was the most important thing about it. But Abraham in the Bible, the title alone was just like, right, that's interesting. Now, I could have went the short route with it. I really could. I could have just took the original video and chopped it up and stuck it in the video and tiptoed around it. But I decided to take it on as a massive project. And I went through all the original footage. And I went through the new footage. When I say new, it had been 5 years for Sam's footage, Jack's footage. And I went through it all like a tooth and comb. Everyone's interview again, because the original cut was pointless. You needed a new cut because including Glenn, Jack, Britt, Sam, you know, you didn't want to base that on what could be from the old edit, you know, because again, it didn't make the old edit, it might make this cut. And again, you're looking at it more of a mature maybes, but more sinister maybes. Is stuff funny? Was that a little bit too far? You got that complete control. So that was a painstaking task. So Abraham in the Bible was something I was really, really proud of. I know it's batshit crazy. I know it's quite controversial because the humour brings across, but that spans nearly 10 years. You know, it's 10 years in the making. And just again, going back to the whole who carries it, who opens it, who carries it, who's got the punchlines, who closes it, how do you get to the next part, and just looking at people's as characters and like again as friends, but again how it works together. And I've laughed my ass off so much at it. It just people's dry sense of humour, and even like people taking the piss out of my school photos and stuff like that, where I'm just like, you just couldn't write it. I would love to write that, but I couldn't write it. Then obviously coming back and using Abraham as sort of the entity on that and explaining the roots of Abraham, and then obviously me and as well, it was just a very interesting concept. And I never thought there'd be a part two. It was closed off. I mean, the repair shop, obviously we entered it in the repair shop, and I had a few missed phone calls from unknown numbers, and one of them was the repair shop, and it was just going to be such a fiasco. And again there's so much going on. I work a full-time job. I've got my grant to care for. My mum lives in England, my dad lives in New Zealand. It's my dad's mum who lives here, and my grand's got Alzheimer's. So it's a lot to just kind of just drop and go down the country for the Bible video, because again, it could still happen. That could be part 3. I'm not saying that there is going to be a part 3, but or not be a part 3, but it's one of those things. For now, it's going to be the last part anyway, because Abraham has essentially been written off. And again, I didn't even think. Now, my dad surprised me by coming over from New Zealand out of the blue, and I've got quite a lot of fond memories of my dad in Metro Centre, Metroland, arcade machines, Sunday with dads now and again, you know what I mean? And he fucking rang us while I was sitting walking around the arcade of the Metro Centre, which is completely different. There's no Laser Quasar, there's no Metroland, there's no Simpsons arcade or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade games anymore, like I would remember. But I was reminiscing and remembering this kind of stuff when he rang, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come over. I was killing time because we're going to go and see The Fall, and he said, I'm coming over, and I said, I can't believe you're ringing me while I'm standing here. And when he came over here, it wasn't like, let's make Welcome to the Long White Cloud Part 2. No, he's not coming over for that. He's coming over to help us with my gran, putting stuff in place and stuff like that. And, you know, I barely filmed him. I was happy enough to get the Highlander video done with him. We really wanted to do a podcast, but he was like a ping pong all over the place. Again, he didn't really time it well. We're going into the Christmas rush at this point, which is a nightmare to get time off at work anyway. But the time I did spend with him, it was great. It was great to see my stepmom as well, for her to be in the video, because the whole thing, like coming up, I want to talk about in a minute, just made sense. And to be honest with you, the Bible video was almost not filmed. It nearly wasn't not filmed at all. It was the second off last day before he went. It was, you know, when I leave that night, I think that's the last time I seen my dad filming that. It might have been the day after, because obviously it's in the outtakes where it's Jet Platinum saying bye to my dad. That could be the last time I see my dad, the Bible video actually. And like, you know, I went up and I went, I want to film this. Can you just like spare half an hour? And we filmed it up in my granddad's room, which is where I found my granddad dead. It's just exactly the same wall in the background, which is scary. And that's where the Bible's from as well. So it was great for the Bible to have a sort of homecoming. And my dad was, you know, interested, and we reminisced and we talked, and it's very rare to see me and my dad on camera like that. So that was the first entry. So that was done, and I was just like, well, where do I want to go over here? Now the ultimate thing is the sorts of questions to be answered. Is me gran going to be able to remember? I mean, that was one thing. So I spoke about it. I says, look, I want to try and, because again, my gran could have been in the first video. I just decided not to stress her out and stuff like that, but she was actually willing. She says, oh, we'll do it, yeah, we'll talk about this Bible. And obviously I filmed it with my gran. The footage with my gran is 3 times longer than I expected, because one of the carers came in, and even though most of the time I've got a problem with the carers just dropping the medicine and running away, this one decided to start and have a full-blown conversation. I was like, you know, the camera's running. As long as I'm not on camera, I was just stop fucking talking. Just try to film. Now, it's been like 6 months since I filmed that, right? And it's just something that's kept on being put on the back burner, we got Carl filmed for it, because I was essentially thinking that would be filming like a new breed of the cast, really. Because I was thinking like who could be in the Bible video, but then I was just like, you know, it's really about the Masons on this one, but Carl has a massive knowledge of history. And Carl is a massive part of Lonely Tree as well, because he's a massive part of the It's Just a Podcast series, and he pops up in the videos now because we haven't got a podcast recorded for ages. And the main reason we haven't got a podcast recorded because there's no guarantee I'm not going to be needed on the phone. I cannot give up 2 hours of my life for a podcast, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like being on the back burner to do podcasts, but bringing Carl in was good. Then coming up with the idea that Abraham does not want to do it was good. And again, we're trying to write Abraham off at the end, and then I would sit down and have a reminisce. And again, I'm glad I did, because if you watch that, it's absolutely golden when I find my granddad's obituary. I should have put that in. I've got that somewhere. Actually, I've got his obituary somewhere. You know, his baptism. And then I even, about 3 months ago, did the hard work by opening up the original file and doing all the recording, all the researching, because obviously, you know, it'd been that long since I worked on the project. Some of the files or its memory hadn't algorithm together and stuff, so I completely rebuilt Abraham the Bible Part 1, and then I had that locked, and then I left the fucking other part for it. Like, again, I only did it the 2 days ago, and it honestly, it was just like, right, get through the fucking footage. Get through my cut, get through my grand's cut. I knew my grand's wasn't going to be long because of the carer. So I was looking at my grand's footage going, it's an hour. But then take out half an hour of that bloody carer talking, bang, it's not an hour. But again, you want to look and you're looking and you're trying to split, and then you're trying to write in your head and remembering. And then I'm thinking about bringing in the old cast, and then that's why I want the original Bible video ready to have a flashback bit. But then for bits where Sam's on about being married with his mum, having me dad and his mum in the video, brilliant. Having the flashbacks about the mullet, it's kind of just loads of stuff like that. And I think I just said to myself, I'm gonna have to finally get around to actually looking at this video, and eventually I fucking did. I chipped away at it for about 3 weeks now, cutting through the footage, saving it, going off doing other stuff. Obviously Steve Pledge's music video has been a victim of this, but again, Steve's well aware that because in the filming of the Bible, my gran has had a very nasty escape and has basically been incarcerated into a mental bloody care home for nearly 3 months now, because of a disastrous night of a mishap of medication. So again, it's not something I want to sit down and look at, you know what I mean, because the state of mind, it's, again, I'm trying to be massive positive about stuff, and again, I've eventually got around to doing it on a positive thing. And of the one edit, it's on the computer, it's ready to upload. I haven't uploaded it yet. There's one thing I would change, so I'm going to give it a second pass and then go back and go, right, nip tuck. And if I don't need to give it a second pass over that one edit, I'm just going to fucking leave it. Do you know what I mean? So this rant is basically just me, just, you know, when I put my mind, it's me to remind myself, when I put myself mind to it, I can do anything I really want to do, you know. It's sitting here and just rambling away and waffling away. It's insight for people who want to listen to me waffle away. Again, that's why I pre-warned you at the start. There'll be nothing like, you can put it down and go off and do something. I'll be talking away. It's almost like a me podcast. But it should have been a podcast. That's what I should have done it as. But yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed it. And again, with the whole Abraham stuff, and now if you look at Fortress, and there's hints at the Seven character running around ragged and stuff like that. Again, it's just me trying to keep creative, trying to stay, you know, very passionate and keeping very infused. You know, they say 7 days makes you weak and all that kind of thing. I'm not saying I do 7 days, but, you know, me just finding something like that is not repetitive, and also something that's unique, because that's the one thing about Abraham and the Bible. It's definitely fucking unique. It's unique for the Bible, it's unique for the passage of time, and it's unique for part 2 to you know what I mean, to show that heritage and that fucking legacy. And even though it's surrounded by death and mystery, it's still got a lot of stuff in. So I'll see you in the outtakes. I never did get to finish my bet. Bet number 2. Or my street cone. It's the thing is, it's like, right, Abe, you must appear in 5 more videos, right, randomly. Could be any point. Like, could I trust Stephen in 6 months' time to finish my street cone and be a Day of the Tentacle? I don't know, could I? I could. Maybe. Give up on that one. Hello. In the story about the Holy Bibles, here's the thing. Am I in the past? Am I in the present? Am I in the future? When we're talking about the Bible. Has it been an eventful day? Are we all in the same room? Run. Said see you in the outtakes, because I knew I only had 27 minutes of free space left. See? Said it finally. Free space. Normally I'm like tape. I'm just killing time. I'm going to go to the Buskers for the first time tonight, so random. I even took the Bible to the same place I'm going tonight once, and the band was playing, but again, that's in Abraham the Bible Part 1. As for Abraham, there was additional footage filmed. Abraham could pop up anytime. This footage being filmed, but it's been creative, very creative. And again, there could be a part 3. The repair shop might happen. You never know. Goodbye for now. I have no clue what I'm supposed to be looking at. I can see his faces in here though. I'm not sure what the movie is. I'm not really a sports fan. No. Yeah, it's the end of this video.